everyone, and welcome to Booth University College's Counsellors Coffee Break. We're coming to you from the John Fairbank Memorial Library at Booth UC, and I'm here with the Director of Library Services, Megan Morash. Thank you, Megan, for letting us host our event here. Megan will be opening our event together with a bit of history about the library and our land acknowledgement.
Thanks, Keegan. So, a little bit of history about the library. I myself am the library director. I am a faculty member here at Booth and an advisor in the Interdisciplinary Studies program. The library has been in this physical location since 2005 when it was dedicated to John Fairbank. Now, John Fairbank was born profoundly deaf in a time when closed captioning and subtitles were very rare, so books were his window to the world. And he unfortunately passed away at the young age of 29 from complications of diabetes, and his parents have been big supporters of this library and libraries in general ever since. The library itself houses over 65,000 physical items, over 200,000 ebooks, and several 100,000 electronic journals for use by our students and our patrons. Those range in age from things published in 1483 all the way up to, obviously, 2021. The library serves not only the community of Booth students, but also the CFOT students in our seminary, as well as any post-secondary student within Winnipeg can come into the library and borrow books from us and use the space. Alternately, Booth students are also able to walk into any post-secondary library in a non-COVID year and borrow items from their print collection using only their Booth student card. Also a fun fact, the Booth Library is open to community users. For a small annual fee, they can come in and borrow our books and use the space as well. We would also like to acknowledge that the space that we occupy is on ancestral lands that are included in Treaty 1. They are the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, the Cree, the Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation.
Thanks, Megan. Once again, welcome to Booth University College's Counsellors Coffee Break. We are so glad you can join us virtually. We're excited to share what Booth UC has been up to the past year and where we hope to go in the upcoming year. During the next 45 minutes or so, we will go through updates regarding academics, student services, COVID protocols, and admissions, as well as where to find resources to help guide your students to Booth University College. This includes upcoming information sessions and important dates for your students as they look to start at Booth UC. If you have any questions, please use the chat function on the right-hand side of the screen. My colleague, Kaylee Gillis, will be answering your questions live. We'll have also a question and response time at the end of our program. But before we move on, our new interim president, Lieutenant Colonel Susan Vandynen, would like to welcome you. She could not join us live today, but has pre-recorded this welcome message. Let's play the tape.
Susan Vandynen here, greeting you from Booth University College in the heart of the city of Winnipeg, Manitoba. This time of year gets us thinking of many things. The color of the leaves starting to change, and of course, starting back at the fall semester. And oh yes, there are those thoughts of the snow to come. But before we get into the snow months, let's consider the present. Guidance counselors, educators, and students are living in the present and at the same time with an eye to the future. Might I add, let this time of year persuade us of the endless possibilities that await. These endless possibilities remind me of the notion of having a clean slate, where you know when you put on your computer to the Word document and there's that clean page waiting to be typed on. Endless possibilities. It convinces me that it's human nature to seek meaning for our lives. To desire the imprint that we leave on the world would be significant and would be noticed. to hope that how we use the time we're given would be worthy of the opportunity. Sometimes finding meaning and purpose can feel very heavy. There have been times when questions like, what is my life's purpose? What am I doing here? Has kept me up at night. Mostly because it carries a connotation that if I don't yet know, then somehow I'm already behind, that I've already lost time. And I can't but wonder where that leaves many others who do not have an answer. What is your life's purpose? What are you doing here? Whatever a purposeful life looks like for you, don't get stuck or stay in neutral. Why not consider exploring your purpose with and at Booth University College? Instead of choosing a mindset that makes it all too easy to live for today, be curious about how you can bring hope and make a difference in the world through a Booth University College experience. The reality is that you and I get to write each chapter of our story, and that's a wonderful and an exciting experience. Even if we hope that our future feels way out of reach, or maybe just a little out of reach, take a moment to look around and ask yourself these questions. What is it that thrills me? What ideas do my thoughts gravitate to? Is there a deep-seated passion waiting to be brought to the surface? What makes my heart beat faster? Whatever it might be, I invite you to lean into it at Booth University College, to discover and to cultivate your life today, and to help change the world.
Next, I would like to introduce Dr. Boyce. He's the Vice President, Academic, and Dean at Booth UC, and a professor in the English and Film Studies program. Dr. Boyce is here to update you on course delivery. So, Dr. Boyce, what does fall term delivery look like at the moment?
Well, Keegan, all the decisions that we've made about course delivery at Booth have had two priorities in mind. One is the safety of the entire Booth community, and the other is academic excellence. So in fall 2020, we made the decision to go virtual. That gave our students the most stable learning environment possible. We've also invested in infrastructure that allows for better virtual classes to be delivered. And for fall 2021, we've also continued virtually. Now, with vaccination, some instructors have decided that they would like to invite students who are vaccinated and as they feel comfortable to come to campus. But all of our courses have a foundation of virtual, so that if anything changes, any uncertainty happens, there's that stable structure in place.
Awesome, that's great to hear. And I'm already, as working in admissions, I'm already getting questions. Do we know what winter term is going to look like, or winter delivery is going to look like?
There's still a lot of unanswered questions. We're monitoring the situation very carefully. We tend to make the decisions early and give students a lot of time to adjust and prepare. We've not made the decision yet, but we will be soon.
Awesome. And what is something you are looking forward to or hopeful in the near future of Booth UC?
I'm really excited about getting to know our new students. Obviously, a virtual environment makes that a little bit more difficult, but we have lots of things going on campus. I'm particularly proud of the Earl Robinson Lecture Series, which we started last week with Kate Bowler, New York Times bestselling author, joined us to talk about her new book. We have 3 more lectures over the course of the academic year, and it's a great opportunity. It's free to the public. Go to boothuc.ca to register, get a sense of what we're doing.
Yeah, those lectures are a great way to get a sense of what Booth UC is doing. And the Kate Bowler lecture was phenomenal.
Yes.
Thanks, Dr. Boyce,
Thank you.
For the update. During the winter and spring, we welcomed 2 new faculty members to Booth UC. They are Wendy Thiessen and Booth UC's Director of the School of Business, and Dr. Isaiah Allen, our new Assistant Professor of Religion. Both recently took a minute to introduce themselves via video and also tell us why Booth UC is a great place for students and what they're hopeful about in the year ahead.
When I started to think about joining Booth, I was intrigued by 2 things. The first is how they embrace their location and are committed to engaging with the downtown community. The second is Booth's tagline, education for a better world. In embracing their downtown location, Booth creates opportunities for staff and for students to connect with and to serve some of our most vulnerable communities.
I am an alumnus of Booth University College, and I'm excited to teach here for many reasons. Booth University College is a community where people know and care about and encourage one another, but this community is set in Winnipeg, a major city with everything you need in terms of culture and commerce, so it's the best of both worlds.
My observation of today's youth is that they want to discover their purpose. They are impatient to have an impact, and they want to do well while doing good. They like getting their hands dirty and their brains engaged in solving real-world problems. They often learn while doing and are passionate about helping, fixing, changing.
This is a Salvation Army school, and it's grounded in a rich tradition of faith, hope, and love, which is a commitment to God, neighbor, and the world. And I like being a part of a liberal arts school because it's got valuable practical programs in social work, psychology, business, religion, and so forth. But as religion faculty, specializing in the New Testament, I'm able to contribute to the formation of students who will be serving in diverse career paths. So graduates who now work in these various settings appreciate the holistic and faith formation as well as their professional development.
At Booth's Business School, we believe in a multifaceted approach to learning. Class time is critical, and students will benefit from being in smaller classes. Secondly, every student has access to an advisor, and multiple one-on-one advisor meetings will happen each year. We also believe that students should be able to learn from each other, so group discussions and projects will be facilitated where possible.
I really look forward to working with colleagues and students in the areas of social work, psychology, ethics, and other disciplines. And I know, and I've seen, that the endless insights from this cross-pollination are critical for the world.
We hope that many of our students will have an opportunity to serve in the community, learning about the real-world challenges of some of Winnipeg's most vulnerable neighborhoods. Hope to see you at Booth.
Thank you, Professor Thiessen and Dr. Allen, for the introductions and for sharing a bit about what you hope for Booth UC over the next couple of years. Next, our Student Life Coordinator, Matthew Peters, is here to share what's new in student services, in the Student Services Department, and Booth UC's COVID protocols. Hey, Matt, go ahead. What's the update for us?
Hey, thanks, Keegan. Hi there. Like Keegan mentioned, I'm Matthew Peters, the Student Services Coordinator at Booth UC. I'm here to share a bit about what Student Services as a team is up to this year. As a Student Services team, our goal is to help students thrive during their studies at Booth UC and not just plod through and get a degree. We achieve this by taking a holistic approach to student well-being. We look out for our students' physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual needs. And we have supports and opportunities in place for growth in all of these areas. Practically, how do we do this? To start, we have our ALC, or Academic Learning Center. The ALC offers a variety of services, including one-on-one tutoring to all students and a variety of workshops throughout the year. And these cover things like addressing academic writing or time management or even surviving in an online environment. All of this is managed by our ALC coordinator, Darla. Her background in teaching serves her especially well in this regard, and she's simply an excellent person to get to know. We also recognize that some of our students have the added challenge of a medically documented disability. We are dedicated to making sure that we provide an open and accessible post-secondary experience. Booth UC has many policies and practices to make this so. These include award-winning renovations that have made our campus entirely wheelchair accessible, academic accommodations, stuff like additional time and extensions on assignments, transcription and even note-taking services, as well as, in some instances, voice-to-text software. Physical and mental health also really matter. As such, we have a partnership with my SSP in Gallivan, which provide 24/7, 365 days a year access to professional counseling and a free mental health assessment. There's also our basic health insurance plan to take care of students' basic medical needs, as well as an extended supplemental health and dental plan. Something that can often get lost in the pursuit of a degree is the need to take care of oneself physically. We provide access to physical facilities with high-end equipment, including our own on-site gym, as well as different partnerships with local gyms in the area, such as the Duckworth Center that's just down the street. Setting aside physical and mental needs for a second, we also recognize our students' need for social connection. We strive to encourage and provide opportunities for students to be plugged into a solid community. Being a part of such a community is a vital part of a student's development, and plus it just makes the entire experience of being a student a lot more enjoyable. Being from a small school, staff and faculty make an effort to learn students' names and often go the extra mile in connecting with their students. Student Council plans numerous events and social outings throughout the year where students are able to take a little bit of a break from their studies and engage in community. Living in residence is often responsible for some of the closest community experiences. Part of my job is actually to manage the residents. I work with the RAs and the residents themselves to foster solid connections and to build and implement programming that residents are interested in participating in. We strive to make sure that residents are able to have fun, make meaningful social connections, and have space to mature and develop. Plus, the food provided by our Booth Bistro is just simply excellent, as I can attest from my own personal experience. And of course, COVID is still a thing in our lives this year, and it's for everybody. It raises the question, what protocols does Booth UC have in place to address this? At this time, students who are fully vaccinated and bring some form of proof of vaccination are permitted on campus for things like access to the ALC, Student Services Information Desk, one-on-one meetings with staff or faculty, and access to the library. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to taking care of your students whenever they come to Booth UC.
Thanks, Matt. At this point, I would like to give you a tour of Booth UC, or rather show you a tour video of Booth UC. For everyone's safety, we're still not offering in-person tours for the general public, but we can provide tours on a case-by-case basis to fully vaccinated individuals or students. If that is you, you can contact us and we'll have contact information up on the screen later. But let's take a look at that tour video.
Hi there, and welcome to Booth University College. Booth UC is a private Christian institution in the heart of downtown Winnipeg. We combine Christian faith and rigorous scholarship with a commitment to education for a better world. If you are looking for a supportive and connected student community, Booth UC is the perfect place. Being in downtown Winnipeg means you can walk to places like the Forks, the Winnipeg Art Gallery, and Bell MTS Place. Let's take a look at why so many of our students call this place home. The main campus building, or the Waldron Building, is located at 447 Webb Place. Our front desk and student services team are available as you walk in. If you need a question answered, this is the place to be. Located right off the main entrance is the Commons. It's a student space where you can study, watch TV, or play pool. Also conveniently located on the main floor is one of the most popular gathering places at Booth UC, Booth Bistro. The bistro offers fantastic food at great prices. At Booth UC, your academic success is highly important to us. Located in the basement is Booth UC's Academic Learning Center. The ALC provides in-person and virtual support, email appointments, workshops, and study sessions. Our film lab is also in the basement level and offers a comfortable place for English and film studies students to view new releases and classic films. This is Booth UC's Social Work Lab. Booth UC's social work students use this lab to facilitate learning. They can take part in group video sessions, practice their skills, and receive feedback from professors. At Booth UC, you are more than just a number. That is why our maximum class capacity is 50 students. Our focus is on creating student-centered small classes where you will quickly get to know your professors and classmates. The Hetherington Chapel is host to our weekly community gatherings, student worship band, and Bible study group. If you're in need of a quiet study space or an area to hang out with friends, our third-floor lounge is a great spot. Or if you want some fresh air, our rooftop patio is a great spot to study during the warmer months. Need to get in touch with your professor? Faculty offices are conveniently located in 2 wings on the 3rd floor. Living on campus is very affordable, and your monthly fee includes a meal plan at our bistro. Residence is on the upper floors of our main campus building. Each floor has great common areas to cook, watch TV, lounge, and do laundry. Located a short walk from the Waldron Building is Peterson Hall, newly renovated in 2015. Here you will find state-of-the-art classrooms, our school for continuing studies, and our library. One of the main hubs at Booth UC is the John Fairbank Memorial Library. A great feature of Booth UC's academic program is that each student is assigned their own personal librarian. If you're looking for a quality university experience that focuses on your individual needs, one that brings together Christian faith and a passion for learning and service, you'll find it at Booth University College.
I hope that you enjoyed that virtual tour. This past spring, Booth UC launched a new academic program, Community and Urban Transformation, also known as the CUT program. Joining us now is Dr. Claussen, Assistant Professor of Sociology and Behavioral Studies. Dr. Claussen is also the developer of the Department of Urban and Community Development at Booth University College. He's going to be giving us a little bit more information about the CUT program. Welcome, Dr. Claussen.
Thanks, Keegan.
So just to get right into it, why did you feel that it was important to develop the program, such as the CUT program at Booth UC?
Well, I can answer that 2 ways. First of all, there was some long-serving faculty here, like Dr. Don Burke, who had the foresight to realize that Booth has an advantage being situated right in the downtown area of Winnipeg. Something unique to the college amongst Christian liberal arts colleges. And with that in mind, they started putting the feelers out long before I arrived, trying to figure out how they could tap into that. And so on the one hand, the roots or the foundation for the program were already growing before I got here. What I was able to do by recognizing some of these same things was to bring some of my training as a sociologist and then on a personal level, having been born and bred here in Winnipeg, I was able to sort of synthesize some of these ideas and interests in developing the CUT program here.
Awesome. What the CUT program, we hear that and we're like, that sounds cool, and like, yeah, we're situated in a cool part, or like a very specific part of the city, and we can help. But what topics exactly does the CUT program cover?
Well, in recognizing that cities are becoming the dominant sort of form for us to, for orienting the ways in which we live in the world, whether we're in cities or outside of them, there's a sort of a growing dominance in a way of cities over the landscape of the areas, the regions in which they are. And this has been growing in a lot of ways exponentially in the last 10 years as more than half the world's population have moved to cities. With those changes come a number of new phenomena for us to understand. Phenomena which are encouraging and hopeful in the long historical sense of the city being a place of refuge. And with that, you might think of a lot of the refugees that have been invited or welcomed into a place like Winnipeg and the broader country of Canada. A lot of the changes have also been perhaps challenging or even frustrating for people who have been used to some ways of life that they've become used to over the years. So with those changes happening, and then recognizing too that those changes are happening around the globe in interconnected ways, where you might think of Winnipeg as, sort of a western prairie city relative to maybe a capital city like a Toronto or a Montreal, cities which might have more of a reputation outside of Canada. You can start to think of cities in relation to each other, where some of their political and economic strategies are affecting the people living there and so on. In any case, I think that by offering some courses as part of the CUT program, we can allow students and ourselves as researchers to understand these changes in a way that gives us a sense of the changes, with some degree of accuracy, so that we can then implement, what our college is known for, education for a better world. In that sense, we're looking at the history. We'll be offering some broad survey courses like the social life of cities, our introduction to community and urban transformation, and then some more specific practical courses which will be part of the later years of the program.
Awesome. That's really cool to hear. You kind of touched on it in that question. Just wondering, the students that come away from this program, what are you hoping that they take away, or what do they do in their community, either that being in Winnipeg or in other cities and large urban centers?
Sure, yeah, you know what? It's being in this situation, you get a sense, a direct experience of living in a downtown location, which is not always common for students. And yet, those students are coming with their own unique worldviews and so on, which we hope they can think about in relation to the downtown setting. The different social problems, like I mentioned, are emerging now with cities growing in the ways in which they're growing. So what we're hoping to do is, by offering a set of survey courses, to introduce those students to some of these changes that are happening, social changes and so on, and then to encourage them through the upper level courses, the practical courses, to start to put some of those ideas into practice. I'm convinced that it's through practice that we get a more genuine experience of the world, at least as it intersects with our own values and beliefs, in a way which, if we're hopeful and positive, and I certainly am an optimist, we can address some of those challenges in the world in a way that's going to actually bring some positive change.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And lastly, who would you recommend this program's for? What are the individuals' initial interests, do you think, would need to be?
Initially, it's in a lot of ways like any other university, any other university college, where universities where they have a long history in setting aside time and effort to explore ourselves in the world, to put it very broadly, right? And by doing that, I think that anyone can come to this program, and if they have an inclination towards understanding cities, their history, the global changes that are affecting cities, and then more locally, especially here in Winnipeg, we have one of the highest proportions of Indigenous peoples in Canada, and there's a history to that too, which goes back to the ways in which the prairies were colonized and settled, and the ways in which that then affected our relations with Indigenous people. In a lot of ways, affecting their disproportionate experience of poverty and imprisonment and poor health and so on, health outcomes. And so if you have any sort of interest in understanding social problems having to do with intercultural relations or those processes I'm sort of hinting at, you know, you're welcome here. And then, like I was trying to say earlier, by adding a practicum or a set of practical courses, students can put some of those ideas into practice by engaging directly with some of the communities that are going through social problems. And in a sense, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here either. You know, by allowing students to find an agency that's already doing good work in the community, you know, they're just simply going in there to collaborate. In that way, it's really in step with our interest in reconciliation, you know, which I think is really timely and important for us right now.
Yeah, no, I love how you put it, that it's for anyone that wants to explore themselves, the world, and to partner with others, really. Well, thank you, Dr. Claussen, for joining us today. Next, our international admissions counselor, Nicolette, is joining us from her virtual office. She is going to review our admissions requirements. So, Nicolette, take it away.
Hi, my name is Nicolette. I am the international admissions rep for Booth University College. And today I'll be going over the admission requirements for high school entry. So for the School of Business and for the School of Social Science and Humanities, and as well as for our pre-BSW program, we would require that high school applicants must have graduated with 5 full credit courses at the grade 12 level, with an overall grade of 65% or higher, and as well as all the courses will need to be at the S or the U level, and if they studied in Manitoba, and they would need the equivalent if they studied in other provinces. Also, English must be part of the 5 courses. If the student peradventure is interested in our Bachelor of Business Administration or Bachelor of Arts Psychology, they will need Math 40S to be part of the 5 courses with a grade of 65% or higher. At the S or the U level, if they studied in Manitoba, or the equivalent if they study in a different province. Alternatively, if the student doesn't have this course as part of their 5 classes, they could enroll in Math 100, which is Applied Finite Mathematics, in their first year at Booth University College. So that's for the School of Business, the School of Social Science and Humanities, and as well as for our pre-BSW program. Now, for the School of Social Work, the students would need to have the following requirements, which is a minimum of 80% or higher in their final year of high school, a minimum of 80% in their grade 12 English, and as well as they will still require the 5 full credit courses at the S or the U level if they studied in Manitoba, or the equivalent if they studied in a different province. The courses should be a combination of math, science, social science, and as well as humanities. The high school grade doesn't guarantee direct entry. The applicants will still need to go through the School of Social Work admission process, which includes submitting a resume and as well as a personal statement. They would require 2 letters of reference and as well as relevant volunteer experience. So these are the requirements for the School of Social Work. And if you have any more questions, do feel free to reach out to the admissions office. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thanks, Nicolette. We know that guiding students through life after high school can be challenging. This is why we are here. We want to be your best resource. You should have already received a package with this year's view book and our program posters, and we also have a section on our website specifically for you. It has links to all the information you will need to guide your students. You can go to boothuc.ca, hover over the admissions tab, and click on the high school educators link to view this page. Booth UC also has 2 open houses scheduled, and one of them is during the fall term on October 27th at 6 p.m. And then one of them will be during the winter. Please share this registration information with your students as the event's coming up soon.
Thanks, Kaylee, for sharing those resources and events. As we close today, we would like to make room for some answers to the questions. So if you have any questions, please use the chat feature to the right section of your screen, and we'll get right to them. So Kaylee, is there any questions?
Yeah, for sure. So we do have one question, and it is, are scholarships available, and how do students access them?
Yeah, so scholarships are available. For high school students specifically, there is an entrance scholarship that all high school students are considered for right away. That's my job to look at the student's mark and determine whether or not they meet that criteria. But there's also other scholarships that are on our webpage that we would love to meet with the student and walk them through seeing if they meet the criteria of the other ones, to see if maybe they don't think they meet the criteria of the scholarship, but we want to see if they could possibly, or realize that they possibly actually meet the criteria of that. I believe there's a President's Award, which covers the full tuition, correct, of the first year. So that's really exciting, and we love to promote that. And there's a few others there that have a different criteria, but yeah, we'd love to meet with the student really and just walk them through the process.
For sure. We also probably want to mention that there is an application deadline for our scholarships of April 30th. So it's important to have your application into Booth UC, and if there's an application for the scholarship, in by April 30th as well. We do have another question. What is the application process like, and how can students connect with us?
Yeah, so the application process is meant to be as stress-free as possible. That is why Kaylee and I are here, is to help you through that process. So it really starts with the student either contacting us off our website contact us form, or opening up an application for their desired program. And then from there, we introduce ourselves. We want to meet with the student either over the phone or over Zoom, or the student and whoever's helping them apply, whether that's yourself, a social worker, a family member even, and just answer any questions they have about the process, and like what courses they need to take, what marks they need to get, whether or not they should consider a different program based on their marks. If someone is applying into the social work program and direct entry from high school and don't meet all the criteria, how they can still get that social work degree with us, but through other means such as our pre-BSW program. So it's about building connection with the student and helping them through the process, really. Would you have anything to add, Kaylee?
I think I would just want to add that for Canadian citizens and permanent residents, it is an absolutely free application. So there's no harm in starting one and filling one out. That'll get you connected with either Keegan, Nicolette, or myself, and then we can go from there. So, yeah.
Awesome.
And then I think we had one more question. And do students enjoy being in residence? And Keegan, maybe do you want me to talk on that
Yeah,
first?
I think you're the best to
For sure.
answer that
So,
question.
a little fun fact, not only do I work in the admissions office, but I'm actually an alumni of Booth UC. I graduated from the religion program in April of 2020. And while I was a student, I lived in residence. So I can say from firsthand experience that yes, students do enjoy living in residence. There is nothing like it when it comes to forming a community on campus. You know your classmates and your friends so well. It's great. It's a great way to have supports and encouragement from your peers. And yeah, there's so many things I could say, but it's just first and foremost a fantastic community. Dr. Claussen's interview actually reminded me that Booth UC is the only Christian university college that is in an urban downtown location. So that adds a different vibe to our residents' life as well. They're super accessible to everything the city has to offer, the bus routes, everything is at our fingertips, which makes living at Booth UC a really rewarding experience. So I think I would say yes. Students do enjoy living on campus.
Yeah, and like if you have more questions about residents, you can contact me and I can get you in contact with Matt, and he'd love to answer all your questions about student services, residents, accessibility, all those really important things that we want to offer your students to make sure they're as successful as possible here at Booth UC. Do we have any other questions? That's it? That's awesome. So that brings us to a close of our Booth University College's Counselors Coffee Break. If you want to get more information, you didn't receive a mailed out package and you would like to, or you'd like to be considered for a online or a in-person tour, or any other little bits of details that I can help you with, you can contact me at my email and my phone number. That'll be up on the screen at the end of this event and is on the screen at the moment. But I just want to wish you a great day. And also I want to remind you that there will be a recording of this event, so if you only had to pop on for like 10 or 5 minutes, it'll also be sent out to you. But I wish you a great day and a happy Thanksgiving. And yeah.